Welcome back to Forced Induction TV. Michael here, and this one's all about EVs and which brands aren't going to make it. You're gonna love this, because they promised the future would be electric, but turns out it's mostly software crashes, broken charge ports, and customer service that ghosts harder than your ex. Look, I'm not anti-EV, but I do miss the days when 0 to 60 came with noise, drama, and the smell of race fuel. Not a silent whoosh that sounds like a hairdryer on eco mode. Yeah, these cars are quick, stomach-dropping quick. But when there's no rumble, no growl, it feels like going skydiving in noise-cancelling headphones. And sure, there are some seriously good electric cars out there. In fact, one brand has quietly become the benchmark for reliability and build quality. We'll get to that later. But before we crown the king, let's talk about the clowns. Because the road to the best EVs is paved with some truly embarrassing failures. Today we're counting down the 10 worst EV brands of 2025. The ones most likely to leave you stranded, rebooting your infotainment system, or tweeting at tech support from a parking lot charger. And this list isn't just opinion. We looked at Consumer Reports reliability rankings, Reddit boards, X posts, and owner forums. Real-world data from people who've lived with these cars long enough to develop trust issues. If you love fast cars, sarcastic truth, and brutally honest rankings, hit like, smash subscribe, and drop a comment right now. Tell me, what's the worst EV experience you've had so far? All right, grab your charging cable, set your battery mode to roast, and let's get into it. What makes an EV bad? Before we start throwing sparks, here's what we're judging. Reliability in the EV world means more than just does it start. It's software stability, battery management, charging behavior, build quality, and how painful it is to get service. And right now, according to Consumer Reports, electric vehicles have about 42% more problems than gas cars on average. That's a big gap. And it's mostly thanks to new tech that wasn't ready for prime time. Some of these brands are huge and should know better. Others are tiny startups burning through investor cash faster than their cars burn electrons. Either way, they all made the same mistake. Thinking futuristic meant finished. Number 10. Jeep Stellantis. The off-road legend has entered the electric era and tripped over the extension cord. Consumer Reports ranked Jeep among the bottom 5 brands overall for reliability, and their new plug-in models haven't helped that reputation one bit. Owners complain about charging errors, glitchy infotainment systems, and more random warning lights than a Christmas tree. On Reddit, people joke that the Grand Cherokee 4xe needs more updates than Windows Vista. And good luck finding parts. Stellantis is juggling half a dozen brands, and EV support isn't exactly top priority. If you like your adventure vehicles rugged and reliable, Jeep's EVs might not make it past the trailhead. Off-road? Sure. Offline? Definitely. Number 9. Cadillac. Cadillac wants to reinvent itself as a luxury EV leader. The problem? Luxury doesn't mean much when your car has the reliability of a vending machine in a thunderstorm. The Lyriq looks stunning, but owners report electrical bugs, software crashes, and frustrating charging quirks. Consumer Reports lists Cadillac near the bottom of its overall reliability rankings, right alongside some of the other names you'll hear today. When you pay 90 grand for a luxury EV, you expect sophistication, not reboot instructions. GM's EV software still feels like it was coded during a coffee break. Cadillac's vision of the future might be bright, if they can get it to turn on. Numero 8. Volkswagen Group. Volkswagen's been in the EV game for a while, but apparently they still haven't found the German precision setting. The ID.4 and its cousins under the VW Group, including some Audi and Skoda variants, have battled with charging failures, infotainment lags, and software that loves to crash during road trips. Forums are full of owners stuck at chargers muttering "Das Boot Loop" under their breath. To their credit, Volkswagen has improved since the first disastrous over-the-air updates. But many owners still say it feels like they're beta testing every time they drive. The cars look great, the drivetrains are solid. But until VW's software catches up with its marketing, drivers wanted might turn into IT support wanted. Number 7. Hyundai and Kia. These two brands deserve credit for shaking up the EV market. The Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, and Kia EV6 are some of the best-looking EVs on the road. But behind those pixel lights and slick styling lies a mess of software bugs and charging headaches. Consumer Reports dropped their reliability ratings recently from excellent to average. Owners on Kia EV forums complain about updates that brick their charging ports and mysterious range drops overnight. It's like owning a phone that randomly forgets how to connect to Wi-Fi. Except this phone costs 50 grand and weighs 2 tons. Now, to be fair, Hyundai and Kia have the dealer networks and resources to fix issues fast. But if your car needs a reboot more often than your iPad, that's not innovation. That's insomnia. Number 6. Mercedes-Benz EQ line. Luxury used to mean craftsmanship. Now it means complexity. And Mercedes has built some of the most over-engineered EVs on the planet. The EQE and EQS look and feel expensive, until something electrical goes wrong. Consumer Reports says the brand's EV reliability drags down Mercedes' overall score. And owners agree. Between sensor glitches, power loss, and random system errors, the EQ lineup can make you nostalgic for simple keys and buttons. And when it breaks, prepare to take out a second mortgage. One Redditor joked that the repair estimate on their EQS looked like a student loan. Mercedes has mastered comfort. When your car throws more error codes than your laptop, the experience stops feeling premium. Number 5. GMC and GM EVs. General Motors keeps talking about the Ultium revolution. So far, it's mostly been recalls, range reductions, and a whole lot of waiting for software patches. The Bolt earned its place on Consumer Reports' worst used EVs list, and early Ultium vehicles haven't exactly redeemed GM's image. Battery modules fail, charging networks struggle, and dealers are still learning how to diagnose EVs. Even GM's flagship Hummer EV, 1,000 horsepower of electric excess, has been called out for broken seals, random shutdowns, and doors that sometimes forget how to open. GM will probably figure it out eventually. But right now, their EV lineup feels like a group project where nobody read the assignment. Number 4. Rivian. If enthusiasm could power a car, Rivian would be bulletproof. Sadly, enthusiasm doesn't fix reliability. Consumer Reports ranked Rivian as the least reliable brand in its entire study, citing issues from drive units to electronics. Yet, and this is the twist, Rivian owners still love their trucks. 80+% say they'd buy again. So what's going on? Rivian built something genuinely cool. Adventure-ready design, great performance, tons of character. But early production and software issues hit them hard. Forum posts talk about random system faults, frozen screens, and service appointments that take months. It's a young company learning the hard way that you can't A/B test your way to reliability. Owning a Rivian is like dating a rock star. Wild, passionate, occasionally brilliant. But you're definitely doing most of the emotional labor. Quick pit stop. If you're still watching, you're a real one. Drop a like right now so this video gets shown to more car nerds like you. And let me know in the comments, if you had to drive one EV for a year, which would it be? Now, let's crank the voltage even higher. Number 3. Tesla. Yeah, you knew this one was coming. Tesla may have defined the modern EV market, but they've also defined inconsistency. According to Consumer Reports, Tesla ranks 17th out of 22 brands for reliability. That's not exactly inspiring for the so-called leader of the electric revolution. Owners report paint flaws, misaligned panels, random screen crashes, and more recalls than you can count. The Cybertruck alone had 6 in 2024. Still, credit where it's due. The Model Y is bucking Tesla's broader struggles. It's actually one of the most recommended EVs in the country right now. Relatively reliable, efficient, and easy to live with thanks to Tesla's unbeatable supercharger network. So yes, Tesla is still ahead of everyone in infrastructure. But if you're buying one, understand this. It's a tech product first, a car second. Great when it works, mildly terrifying when it doesn't. Number 2. Lucid. Lucid was supposed to be the American luxury answer to Tesla. Instead, it's starting to look like a cautionary tale. The Lucid Air wowed reviewers with its design and performance, until owners started reporting electrical failures, frozen screens, and keys that stopped working for no reason. Consumer Reports labeled it one of the least reliable electric sedans on the market. Now, the company's next big play, the Gravity SUV, should have been their breakout moment. Instead, it's already making headlines for software lockups and power-on issues before deliveries even ramped up. And the business side? Not pretty. Lucid lost nearly $790 million in one quarter, cut production targets to fewer than 20,000 cars for the year, and went through a leadership shakeup. That's not hypergrowth, that's triage. Lucid has talent and ambition, but unless they turn those around fast, they might go the way of Fisker. Ambitious, expensive, and extinct. As it stands, Lucid is the Rolls-Royce of recall anxiety. Number 1. The Risky Startup Club. This top spot isn't one brand, it's a warning label. Every year, a new batch of EV startups rolls in promising to redefine mobility. Most will never make it to 2030. Fisker already filed for bankruptcy, leaving Ocean SUV owners wondering who's going to service their cars. Canoo keeps delaying deliveries and burning through cash. VinFast rushed into the US market with build quality so bad that reviewers called it unfinished at best. These companies might have slick websites and wild concepts, but owning one is basically investing in a moving crypto coin. Maybe it moons, maybe it rug pulls. If you're thinking of buying from a startup that can't guarantee it'll exist next summer, maybe stick to someone who's at least figured out how to bolt a door shut. The best EV brand. Alright, we've roasted everyone from billion-dollar giants to garage startups. So who's actually doing it right? Believe it or not, BMW. Yeah, the brand that used to be mocked for making soulless crossovers is quietly killing it in the EV reliability game. According to Consumer Reports, the BMW i4 is the most reliable EV on the market right now. The iX isn't far behind. They're fast, well-built, and, crucially, they don't need constant software therapy sessions. BMW did what most brands couldn't. They treated EVs like cars, not gadgets. You plug them in, you drive them, they work. Revolutionary, right? That doesn't mean they're perfect. They're expensive, and the software still has a bit of that German overconfidence. But in a world of glitchy dashboards and stranded owners, BMW's quietly proving that electric can also mean dependable. And as for Tesla, the Model Y is the lone bright spot in a lineup that's otherwise been a quality roller coaster. Credit where it's due. That car's a workhorse. But one good model doesn't erase a decade of uneven build standards. Final takeaway. EVs are the future, but not every brand deserves to make it there. Some are figuring it out, some are faking it, and a few are just praying for another round of funding. So before you sign on the dotted line, look past the range numbers and tech hype. Ask the boring questions: reliability, service, long-term support. Because the best EV isn't the one with the biggest screen, it's the one that actually starts every morning. And yeah, I still miss the rumble of a V8, that deep, angry growl that told you something mechanical and slightly dangerous was happening under the hood. EVs are fast, scary fast, but 0 to 60 in silence just hits different. It's impressive, sure, but it doesn't stir your soul. If you like this countdown, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. Comment below with your worst EV horror story, or the one brand you still trust to get you home. I'll be reading the best ones in the next video. Stay charged, stay sarcastic, and may your updates actually finish installing.